Thank you very much for being here, distinguished members of the Senate, the Chamber of Deputies, the Cabinet, the Office of the President, the Legislature. It's quite an awesome display of the representation of the Haitian people. We feel very honored to have the chance to have this discussion, and thanks to my fellow leaders in the international NGO community for being here too. I'm going to skip a little bit and get to the heart of things. It's not always that development agencies like us get to have a discussion with a government led by someone who frankly probably knows us better than we know ourselves. He's worked in our world, he knows our strengths and our weaknesses, and so we are actually very confident that we can have a dialogue with you that will help us to work better together in the service of the Haitian people. It's an important moment. I don't need to tell you that, but for NGOs, our efforts since the earthquake have caused a lot of soul searching. Billions of dollars have been spent. Any one of the NGOs around this table could tell you about what we've tried to do and what we've actually done in support of the Haitian people. The numbers we would like to think are meaningful and impressive, but we also know that 500,000 people are still in Haiti without housing. They're still living in tents, and because we are still moving legislation through Parliament on land ownership, 120,000 people are going to face potentially forced evictions, and we're all worried about that. Half the rubble in Port-au-Prince still hasn't been cleared. A third of the $9 billion that was pledged to Haiti has actually arrived in Haiti. The UN appeal of 2011 was about a third of what it was in 2010. Money is dropping off. Private giving is dropping off, and people are asking questions. The questions, as we all know, are starting with the Haitian people. They're asking, what happened? What happened to the money? They're asking it of all of us, and they're asking it of the NGOs perhaps in particular. They're asking, what did those NGOs accomplish? We were, over the last few years, comparatively, compared to a government that was trying to lift itself from the earthquake, perhaps in many cases comparatively wealthier. In some cases, we were comparatively better capacitated. So people have been asking not only what have you accomplished, but who are you accountable to? Where's your transparency? Now, I don't want to put it all at our feet because, frankly, sometimes when we looked for a government to partner with, it wasn't always obvious who we could partner with. But there is a feeling, a sense now that things have changed. And we actually have a government that is asking for partnership and that is asking us to align in all its dimensions of government. And so the question for us now is, how quickly and effectively can we do that? We can't begin to defend all of the NGOs that are working in Haiti. As we all know, some of them are little more than an expression of compassion or solidarity. They have almost no professional experience or capacity, and they're doing what they thought was a good thing. There are others that are more sinister, that are really there because it's profitable. Briefcase NGOs who know how the aid industry works and have made some good money in the last few years. But there are also professional humanitarian and development organizations. I think those around this table are represented by those who have made a meaningful impact and who are trying to adapt to a changing environment. And this is important. There are also some small Haitian NGOs that don't have an awful lot of capacity, but that are an absolutely indispensable part of the future of Haiti, because they are going to be the ones whose voices hold all of us accountable. The NGOs that have lots more money, the government itself, those small NGOs who do policy and capacity building and advocacy. So in order to start the discussion, I was going to propose two sets of recommendations, and they're reflected in some of Oxfam's papers. To the government of Haiti, we would like to say, we are very pleased to see the renewed commitment to development, and we are recommending that as much acceleration as can be put into putting in place that Haitian-led development and reconstruction agency. That urgency is put there to take all those capacities of the IHRC and put it into a fully functional and permanent development agency. The other thing that we would ask, as you seek to better coordinate all the NGOs, and we understand why you would want to do that, that you do so in such a way that doesn't create a chilling effect for legitimate civil society organizations to work with you and sometimes to hold you and us accountable. So to create that space for a robust, democratic, and open dialogue. To my NGO colleagues on the same side, I think many of you share this, but I think we have to be a public and a private voice amongst ourselves and with others to align ourselves behind the legitimate expectations of the Haitian government that they are the leaders of Haiti's development, and it's our function to be a useful partner towards achieving their priorities. And at the same time, I think we also need to spend more time building up the capacity of local Haitian organizations to be the long-term voice in Haiti long after we have left. And so I would urge us to do those two things. So with that plea on both sides of the line, I hope we are going to open up to a broader discussion. Mr. Prime Minister, if you would share some remarks with us, I think we'd be honored. And then we will open the floor to a discussion.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for hosting this. This was great. I mean, it's something that we've been planning to do for the past 3 months, to sit with all the partners and to actually think a little bit about where we are and where we want to go and how we actually get there. You know, I like to say this, and it's true. If you come to the official residence of the Prime Minister, you'll see that I've posted all the pictures of the former Prime Ministers, 16 and 23 years. The life expectancy of a Prime Minister in Haiti is about a year and a half, if you're lucky. Good news is I just beat the last person. I'm happy about that. I mean, she did 3 months, so I'm going on 3 months in a few days. So it's already but a lot of these guys were really smart guys. A lot of them were quite, my father-in-law, Marc Bazin, former World Banker, certainly qualifies as a guy, Winnie Smart. A lot of these guys understood development, knew what needed to be done, had conviction, were dedicated to doing a good job, Michel Pierre-Louis, etc. Some of them you knew. There were some good people out there. And so I had the pictures, I put the pictures in the residence, basically, first of all, to remind me that, hey, you know, this is not an easy job. But second, you know, to remind me that a lot of good people, a lot of committed people have come here and tried to bring change to Haiti. And most of them, when I talk to them, and I call them from time to time, and I say, I have this idea, and I'm sure you thought of it. I just need to know how come you couldn't make it work. That's the discussion we want to have. Because at the end of the day, I don't think there are too many secrets about how to put children in school, or how to reduce under 5 mortality, or even how to create jobs. We have models that work all over the world. So I've asked them, what's been your constraint? And often I get these weird answers that you wouldn't think about. They tell you, well, you know what, Gary, look, I can't fire anybody in my office. Because if I do, I get in trouble. That's not in the how-to manual of reducing under 5 mortality. It isn't. I guess the bottom line is, we've had NGOs and partners working in Haiti now for years, 30 years and 40 years. And the basic question I ask myself and my partners, how do we make sure that 20 years from now, your successors in Oxfam, your successors in Church World Services are not sitting across from my successors talking about the same things? Under 5 mortality, 500,000 children aren't in school, extreme poverty, women that are being raped or violated, malaria, tuberculosis. How do we make sure that we're not discussing these same things 15 to 20 years ago? So if we start from that, I guess that takes us directly to a second question. What are we going to do differently then? If every time a project that concerns Haiti comes through your office, and you just ask the simple question, okay, how is this different from what you did last year? I think that alone forces your staff on the ground to say, we have to be more creative, we have to be more innovative, we have to find ways to do things more effectively. I think we would already be halfway there. I've said publicly, and I'll continue to say, when people try to get me to demonize NGOs or civil society organizations, I've told them, listen, a lot of these guys are providing services that I'm not ready to take over. They're mobilizing resources through their own networks. they're not necessarily getting it from bilaterals or multilaterals. So if we lose them, we actually just lose the income, and we don't gain anything in return. They're very important partners in key areas: education, health, agriculture. So my sense is, based on models all over the world that I know, the question for me as a government is, for us as a government, is how do we capture and channel these resources, that energy, in a way that complements efforts that we're doing from the government side? And how do we do it so that everyone wins? I have a few things we've thought about that I want to share with you. The first one is an issue of transfer of functions. The basic idea is that if you come to Haiti, help me do anything, you include as a performance indicator transfer of functions. You basically want to make sure that when you leave, someone else in Haiti or some entity in Haiti is able to do what you were doing. If it's a performance indicator, I'm guessing it means that you've also budgeted for it. This would mean that you're actually committed to working yourselves out of a job, or at least out of that part of a job. It would be great if all the partners in Haiti had that thought and said, you know what, we're there. That's the first, I think, important part. The second important thing for me is this whole issue of what you can and can't cover with your, what your policies are in terms of actions, or what you can cover with your finances. A few weeks ago, we had a big accident, as you know, in front of the national TV. And my good friend was there. We got there at 10:30, and we were there from 10:30 to 2:30 in the morning. And then from 2:30, I went straight to the university hospital, stayed there till 3:30 in the morning. 2 years after the earthquake and $1 billion later, I don't know what your thoughts are. The president and I were there. But this is a well-contained, relatively small incident. And we couldn't handle it. We didn't have the instruments to take the big truck off the small truck. Crowd control was iffy. We had health services a few minutes away, yet we were trying to get people far away. The mayor, who's supposed to be the central coordinator of any response, was in the middle of the street trying to organize how we get the big bulldozer type thing to get the truck out. And this is a circumstance where the president and prime minister was there, so you would think everybody was being extremely zealous. But we couldn't handle it 2 years after, at least not to my satisfaction. And I think people died that way because we did a poor job collectively handling it. And I told the same thing to Minister too. They were there, but haphazardly. My team, the government team, I think performed extremely poorly, and I told them that, from the police to all the other entities that should have been involved with this. And this is a small event. So now every night when I go to sleep, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and my phone rings, I'm all stressed. Because if this is a serious event, if Cape Haitian has an earthquake, I can't handle it. I really can't. So when partners of Haiti sit with us and discuss this, this is what we're talking about here. We're talking about 10 million lives that basically depend on decisions that we will make collectively. Me first, but you also as partners. So we need to find a better way to work. We need to stop looking at the limitations of our procedures or the things that our boards tell us we can't do, because we need to tell them, look, this is about people's lives here, and we need to find innovative ways to do stuff. Last year, a good partner, WFP, spent millions of dollars buying food aid. Great. Spent less than 6% buying food from Haiti. We need to do things better. Today, a great partner, the US and Canada and France, committed $52 million to rebuilding the university hospital a year and a half ago. 2 weeks ago, I met with their technical team, and they explained to me why it's going to take 305 more days to begin building, 3 years after the earthquake. Then it's going to take 3 to 5 years to build, so it will take 8 years before we have the university hospital. Now, any of you know Haiti, you know how desperate we are to regain the university hospital. I don't say these things on the radio or publicly, but guys, at the end of the day, this isn't working. It's not working for the Haitian people. It's not working for the government, and I'm sure it's not working for you. So my plea here, and I'm sorry I was a little long, but this is my plea here today is, let's just commit to going back to Haiti, defining a common framework, identifying key activities, agreeing to commit to achieving these key activities, and then holding ourselves to account. Nothing complicated, in a very coherent way. Let's put together a system where every single partner can come in and say, this school in that district, I'm doing it and I'm going to do it by that period, so that I can begin to mobilize the budget for the teachers for that school. Very simple. This big common framework with all of our efforts in it, holding ourselves to account. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister. If I may, I'll take the moderator's prerogative and ask one question to get us started, but I think we all really appreciate the thoughts you've already shared. It would be, I think, very good for us to hear if you have further thoughts about how you'd like to see the vision you've just laid out for us operationalized in terms of both institutional mechanisms and legislative mechanisms. That would be very helpful. And then, if I may, I'll turn to others to raise questions.
You want us to take a few, or do you want us?
Actually, why don't we do that? That's one question. Angela, would you like to take a question? I know that you had a thought or two. And then, if I may, I'd love to see some questions coming from the floor.
Mr. Prime Minister, good afternoon. Thank you again. I was listening to your remarks in Europe, in Poland, in December, and you talked about transfer of leadership and of the way you do. Thank you. Transfer of leadership, and about Haiti being in control of the resources. I wanted to know how does this look in practice, as opposed to just in theory? How would it look concretely if Oxfam were to be a partner with you in something like this? How would it look? Thank you.
Liz, let's take one more and then we'll see if...
Gary, Liz Blake from Habitat. I think that one of the important steps that it would be great if you all could take would be to try to provide some clarity as to who within the government you want us to work. Because I love the idea of both identifying and budgeting for that transfer person to work with. With the law group that you're familiar with, the meetings are now in French because it has transferred to become a Haitian group. But it has taken a lot of time to figure out who within your government to work with on each of the topics. And if you could provide like an org chart or some clarity as to that, then we are happy as a group to abide by your guidance within the government. And if sometimes we understand, because Haiti is Haiti and the United States is the United States, we have the same problem. Sometimes it has to be multiple groups. So for our law group, we actually have 12 agencies that we're going to work on through the stakeholder. So we're not fooling ourselves into thinking there can be one designee immediately, but if you can help us with that clarity, we will be better partners and more effective.
Thank you. Thank you. I think these are three extremely important points. I'll start off, but then I'll ask, the President of the Senate and the Congressman to maybe fill in some blanks. Let me start out with the third one. I think some of the thoughts. In the next few days, we're going to put out what we're hoping is a code of conduct. It basically defines, and please make it the point that we know as a government, we know that we have a lot of issues that we need to resolve first and also. So we're putting out a code of conduct that basically tries to define how we see relationships between government and our different partners, how discussions should be initiated, what's the process to get a project quickly approved, et cetera, et cetera. And that will describe some of the things that we think we can do better. But quick point on this. One of the biggest problems we're having now, and you know this, is that um, the most I can pay an advisor is something like the equivalent of $2,500. So just getting high quality people to work with me is extremely difficult because of the salary scale. They would prefer to work for your organizations, and you can compare to what you pay them, and you can see where the issues, the problems quickly start. But if 4 or 5 of you are working with the Minister of Health, help her pay for someone competent to handle your issues. You have no idea how that would change both your life and hers. Because with the space she has in terms of revenue, it's very, very difficult for her to have the number and the quality of people she needs to be able to interact with you as effectively as you would use. So if your entry point is the Ministry of Health, sit with her and she will tell you right away the capacity problems she has. And then, say, look, the 5 of us, the 6 of us, will help you hire 2 people that can be our counterparts on everything that has to do with under 5 mortality for a year. How's that? I guarantee you, just there and then, you'll see the change. So I understand because you work with different ministries, you'll always have different entry points. And I don't want to block or slow that down, especially not now, not before we're much better organized. But I think you've all witnessed the capacity issue. But I sometimes get the impression that you're expecting the government to solve it. And the reality is it's not going to happen soon. So I've had some great partners like USAID, for example, and others, and UNDP actually give me staff, pay staff for me, and that's improved everybody's life. So just something I would love for you to consider. I don't know what your experience has been, but I've had extremely good experiences with sector-wide approaches, swaps. So I'm not right now anyway asking everybody, if you have money, go give it to me. Or I'm not even asking for budget support. What I'm partial to is a sector-wide approach where the sector has defined clear objectives and goals, a very detailed list of activities, and where all the partners can come together in a common pot when it's possible, or with clear deliverables if possible. So if we're looking at the health sector in a sector-wide approach, which most of you know, and we've defined the activities, which is build health centers, train doctors, deploy, et cetera, then all you guys, and we have a mapping of where this is going to happen. And each of your organizations can come in and say, okay, that I will do by that date. That way that will help us have the comprehensiveness. So it's less about really sending us, at this point, the resources, but giving us the ownership and the oversight, and I don't want to use the word control because that's not quite it, of the whole effort. And then you become a part of the effort, a part of the team. And that comprehensiveness, I think, would work until we build enough capacity to slowly transition to a system where we have greater budget support, which is ultimately where we want to reach. So the exercise we can do right away in your different sectors is this extensive mapping of what we need to do to achieve objectives, and then just put your organization by each activity, or by the activity specific that you're going to do, I think would already be an incredible. It will also allow us to tell the population that this is what we're going to achieve for you in the next few months with these partners. So the government of Haiti, not Oxfam or CWS, but we, the government of Haiti, with these partners, this is what we're achieving for you. I think that would work. Institutional, we're revisiting the whole Ministry of Planning, looking at coordination. They have an assessment of what they take, because they're right now responsible for coordinating, as you know, all NGO activity and regulating it. We have a law that was introduced before that my government is revisiting that deals with the issues of NGOs. So that's going to come out, I think, very quickly. I don't know if, Senator, you have another issue on that, on the legal framework.
What I would add is asking to our partners if they could help the government, even the legislative, to identify some NGO that get some experiences by giving result and At the same time, there are some NGOs that are coming, that are new, that's coming in the country. But I have an example that I don't want to cite it right now. I have an example that in my region in Plateau Central, an NGO that was working in this region, but the president or the coordinator of this NGO was involved in corruption by using the money of this NGO for his own affair. And we were looking for someone else to replace it. That means we didn't even know who is going to lead this NGO. So what could we expect from this NGO? That's an example. But I don't know them, but you can help me to understand what they are going to do in the country. Right now we're working on a bill. Before passing the bill, before voting the bill, we're going to work with you to get your suggestion and to get your opinion to know if the bill is to be voting the way it is, or if there is some correction to put on it and some recommendation that we could regulate the situation.
Thank you. Congressman, maybe? I don't know.
I would like to add the problem sometimes we have with some NGOs. Sometimes they go to the same place and then doing the same work. Like, we want to have water. There are like 4 NGOs doing the same thing. Why they don't want another place? They don't go another place to do something else. In the parliament, we trying to fix the law because we got too many NGOs in Haiti now. I think we got more than 3,001 in Haiti. Only 300 have the legal papers to work in Haiti. We're trying to do something to fix it by voting a law to say how you can work in Haiti. But we need you in Haiti because you bring your support in Haiti. After the earthquake in January, there was a big dream with the NGOs. They came, they helped. Like the president of the Senate said, even the water wasn't good, but they brought the water. We need them. But we're trying now, not only the Senate, but the Congress in general, to try to have a law and then to fix the way those NGOs in Haiti supposed to act.
I think we really appreciate the invitation to engage with you in the development of that law, and I think that's an invitation we'll take up seriously. Anne, and then Alex, could share some comments. And Prime Minister, did you have other comments you wanted to share before?
Actually, I'm listening to this very carefully. By the way, just want to say though, we're also open to your ideas on how we can be more effective. So if you have thoughts also of things we can improve that will help you be more effective, look, I'm extremely open to that.
Well, I think, speaking on behalf of the NGO group, we're very sympathetic to the job that you have before you. And if I think about how you must be looking at your to-do list, it must be incredibly long. And, you know, you don't just worry about development of one region or another, you're looking at the entire country. From the standpoint of my organization, the International Rescue Committee, you know, we're working with displaced people in camps who are really, I think, among the poorest of the poor in Haiti. So I am wondering what the plans are for helping these people at the same time that you're trying to do so much for the economy and to develop a middle class and to get businesses working in Haiti. So I had heard from my colleagues about a 616 housing plan close 6 camps and revitalize 16 neighborhoods. So I was hoping today you could tell us a little bit about the plans for that and what is needed to make that successful and where the displaced are going.
Right. Thank you.
Alex, did you
Sure. Mr. Prime Minister, it's to see you so open to ideas is very encouraging to all of us. And I want to just share one issue I'd like to see if you can comment on. I represent, I'm on the board of Foncosé USA, that's the sister organization of Foncosé. I'm also with Grameen Foundation as its CEO. And as you probably know, financial inclusion, a growing body of research shows, is very consistent with broad-based economic growth in a wide variety of countries. And in that context, since the mid-90s, the microfinance sector has grown up in Haiti that has promoted much more financial inclusion. Haitian government, across many administrations, has taken a fairly hands-off view to microfinance, which is a strategy has pros and cons like any approach. We understand that the central bank is now drafting regulations for microfinance, and the experience globally is that when governments go from hands-off to more regulated, depending on how they do it, it can spur innovation and growth, or it can stifle. So I'd be interested if the principles that the government is expecting to bring to this effort to more formally regulate microfinance in Haiti.
So if you could take it, Michael, if you could share a comment, and then we'll go back.
All right. Mr. Prime Minister, as Paul's already said, we really appreciate your making the time to meet with the NGO community here in Washington. This is a really positive and constructive dialogue, and I hope when you get back to Haiti, it can continue with our counterparts on the island. And I know you met with the steering committee of the CCO last December, and I think that'll be a good forum for all of us here in Washington and NGOs in the U.S. to stay engaged with you as you work through these issues. So that's the first point. The second is I think there's a lot of support for the approach you've set out of transferring responsibilities and functions at the conclusion of a project. For funds that we raise privately, that's pretty straightforward. The other part of it, and I would like to get your thoughts on this, is how can we plus Haitian officials together go to other donors and make clear that this should be part of the plan going forward. And we very much like to work with you on that.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Actually, on the last point, a lot of the donors are telling me it's a great idea, they're going to do it. On the 30th of March, it's a commemoration of the second year of the pledges in New York. And we're trying to have a big meeting in Washington. Hopefully, a lot of you will be able to come. The OAS is helping us host it. First, to look a little bit at what happened for the past 2 years in terms of predictability, rates of disbursement, accountability, results, cohesion, etc. But not just to do that, mostly to define a common agenda where everybody can see, because that's also, I think, what's been lacking from our side, is telling everybody, look, this is where we're going on these issues. And this is so you can find a space where you can be more useful. So thank you for that. Yes, everybody's telling me they're on board. And we've by the way, I don't know if you know this, we've actually recruited some big mouthpieces to help us make the argument. President Clinton is on board. Paul Farmer is going to be helping out. Jeffrey Sachs is committed to this. So I'm pulling all the stops to make sure that our partners understand that unless we do things differently, we're condemned to be addressing the same things over and over again. But thank you for your support on that. I like your question about the financial growth and inclusive growth and about microfinance. I'll tell you what would be helpful. I need a specialist in microfinance in my office next week. That's what I need. If you can help us do that, I can't pay for it. So if you can help us do that, I have a guy in mind. He's really smart. I have a guy in mind that can be in my office as the Prime Minister and actually look at all issues related to microfinance. Look at best practices all over the world. Use your knowledge and help us actually put a package together that's very, very powerful. Right now, it's being led by the central bank, and you know how scary that can be. So no, but on a more serious note, these are the things that really we would want to have the technical experts to just look at this from different perspectives and define a clear policy and strategy that protects the achievements you've had over the past few years, but also provides us some frame for oversight and control. I know what some of the concerns are. The private sector, the private banking, as you probably know, have expressed a lot of issues with a lot of concern with what you're doing, and I'm guessing that they're also trying to influence the policy there. But I am serious in saying that if I can increase my capacity in that area, we can. Same thing for the 616. I put together a unit that's handling everything that has to do with public buildings and housing. Really, really fine guys. With USAID funding, they've supported 3 Haitians from the diaspora who are excellent urban planners that are actually joined the team. The project of the World Bank actually pays for Haitian diaspora to come and sit in our office and work with us. The project is going, I think, we've cleared 6 camps. We have $18 million grant from the Canadians to attack the Kandu Shanmaos. My directive on this was that we need to make sure that everybody's going back to a safe and secure environment, which is why, by the way, it's taken so long to move each camp out. What's not allowed is for you to just call somebody in a camp and say, here's $500, go find yourself a place. The program that's being implemented by UN Habitat, UNDP, among others, is supposed to sit with them, help them find a house in certain circumstances and pay the rent for a year. It's supposed to help them, move, et cetera, et cetera. And so far, I've seen some of the evaluations seems to be working quite well. But we're short $50+ million to be able to do this nationwide. So this is a perfect example of an area where we can have this sector approach where your organization, if you're not going to commit funding to the pot, but can actually say, you know what, we can actually take, actually Red Cross has done this. The Red Cross, I think, has said, we'll take over, using the same principles, the airport road tent. And they've done an incredible job. So another organization can come and say, we'll do the same spirit using the same methodology and the lessons learned. We'll take over, this other place, and then we can map it out together. And then we can say, collectively, we moved out, 30,000 families instead of 4 or 5. So, but if you want to know more, I'm very open to any time. Come by my office, and I'll have you meet the team. The Minister of Women's Affairs also has something.
Et par exemple, concernant Fonds Causé, en ce qui concerne Fonds Causé,
Reference to Fonds Causé.
après le 12 janvier 2010, sauf Fonds Causé qui a accepté de financer un groupe de commerçants. Allez, non.
It was Fonds Causé after the earthquake that decided that they were going to finance a group of entrepreneurs.
Qui avait tout perdu.
Completely lost all of their savings and investments.
Sûrement le président Alex Cairns me connaît de nom.
I'm pretty sure that Mr. Counts probably know me by name.
Parce que je travaille de très proche avec Anne Astin.
I work very closely with Anne Astin.
Et Fonds Causé a financé un projet à hauteur de $5 millions pour les commerçants du secteur et petites et moyennes entreprises.
Fonds Causé had invested $5 million in the area of small business.
Crédit chaud, ça s'appelle crédit chaud.
Hot credit.
Oui. Et la vérité, la durée est trop courte. Il faut augmenter au moins c'est un prêt pour 6 mois, pour 3 mois, mais on aimerait qu'il augmente ça pour 6 mois à peu près.
But we would like for you to increase the length of time of the credit, because currently right now it's 3 months. We would like to see if we could move up to at least 6 months or more.
On aimerait aussi que Fonds Causé finance d'autres projets de ce genre pour les femmes haïtiennes.
And we would like to see Fonds Causé invest in other projects for the women business.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we'll take a comment here from Earl, if you could share a thought, and then Angela.
Mr. Prime Minister and all of the delegation, I simply echo this is a great thing that we're doing and that we're deeply honored to have this meeting. I want to just, we are having this meeting, and I think I can speak for all of the NGOs because of some bad publicity, okay? And as we make these movements, my concern is that, we are working all of us, I think, are working at what we know best, okay? But, as we have this high-level meeting, then it's how do we communicate to people on the ground? Church World Service has always worked through partnerships, okay? And I'm not sure whether I was hearing from the President of the Senate that he wanted help in identifying which were legitimate NGOs or not. I would like a further clarification. But I think most important for us would be that this meeting and the outcomes are publicized in a way that that not only here, but also in Haiti, that we're getting the kind of publicity that says, that affirms this partnership.
Agreed. Agreed. Very good. Very good point. Thank you.
Angela.
And, Mr. Prime Minister, I wanted to ask you about the IHRC.
Yes.
And I specifically wanted to ask, now that the mandate is expired, what mechanism is going to be in place to manage aid, and the process or the framework for the Haitian Development Authority? How are we going to go? Where are we going to go with that? Thank you.
And I think we're about to find out that we have to come up with some ideas on how to support that as well, if we listen to how the Prime Minister likes to.
I think you're getting it. Yeah. No, but on a more serious note, but it's funny you should say that. The reality is 60% of the assistance we received in 2010 and 2011 went outside the IHRC. And the IHRC, even when it existed, had very, very little real oversight over execution implementation. It ended up serving as a platform where the donors and the government, unfortunately, because that was not what it was meant to be, did very high-level discussions on where funds should be allocated. But the reality is right now, a proposal for the extension of the IHRC is going to be presented in front of Parliament before the end of this month, until we can get, and that's a good idea, a permanent reconstruction agency together. Meanwhile, we do have, linked to my office, the unit on public buildings and housing. So that's where we are on the IHRC issue. But we are establishing, and I think the 30th will be, on the 30th of March, we're not just going to look at an agenda moving forward, but we're also going to propose a common platform for coordination, one that's much more specific or linked to activities. And so basically we agree and can help become accountable for results. So that's where we are on that. But I would welcome someone to work on IHRC as well.
I'll be moving to Haiti pretty soon.
But by the way, the senator here, and this is I'm surprised he hasn't said this. The senator and the Congress really needs also technical support to review and accelerate policies on land tenure. Right? He's always telling me, it's the same problems we have. The same problems we have is that the issue of capacity. So I think one common agenda for all our partners could be to say, listen, how do we get you the assistance you need to build your capacity to be more effective? That alone will change a lot of the bad press. I'm serious about that, because it will show that really your objective here is to reinforce government, to work yourselves eventually out of a job.
Yes, regarding the question of Dr. Trent, I would make a proposal. Why don't we plan to do the same thing on the ground, but including the parliament, journalism, journalists, some people in this civil society, and like a forum to make an evaluation what has been done, what need to be done, why we didn't get to the results. So I think it's gonna be a way of talking about what happened in order that the people could understand better the situation, and we could get better in the future.
Thank you for that invitation for ideas on that front. If we could take two more comments and questions and then return. Edward, and then if we could go to Aaron. And if you did want to make a comment, it would be good if I saw that now, because we want to respect the delegation's time and the Prime Minister's time. So help us to see where we are.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll be brief. Mr. Prime Minister, dear delegation, I just have maybe two practical sort of comments, if you allow. One is, I think you're absolutely right when you talk about sector-wide approaches, common approaches, actually also mutual learning from the last 2 years, you know, what works and what does not work, and how can we sort of streamline this in the future. I think this is a very important point, because at the end of the day, I mean, we can all talk coordination and cooperation, but do we really do it, and how well do we do it, is always a question, and is always a criticism of our work, and I think rightly so. But if we want to do that, and if we should do that, I think we need more leadership, Mr. Prime Minister, from you and your the various ministries. I think that it's just not here right now, and we've been, you know, looking at multilateral platforms, asking for multilateral platforms, not getting them really. We had the IHRC that worked rather, you know, worked okay, but not great, and now we don't have that even. We don't have multilateral platforms to discuss anything. And I think we really need that leadership, on the meta level, but also then on the sector level. So there's two levels. And my second comment would be the following. When it comes to the human resource and the technical expertise, I think you're absolutely right. But what we again would need from you is sort of a little bit of a more comprehensive view of where are you lacking the capacities, so that we can, you know, collectively here, look how we can provide that capacity for you, or finance the capacity if you have good people, preferably Haitians, you know. But if it has to be an international technocrat, it can be that too. But I think you would need to really give us sort of a more comprehensive picture of what you need, you know, not just here and there and a little bit. Anyway.
Very good. Thank you. We need to hear that. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, so one more. Unfortunately, we have to leave. So
Okay, we'll take one more question and then we'll close it off. I'm sorry about that. Okay.
Mr. Prime Minister, thank you very much for speaking with us. American Jewish World Service is deeply committed to the notion of sustainable transfer of development capacity in Haiti. We work with 40 grassroots NGOs outside of Port-au-Prince mostly. And I'm so persuaded by the power of this face-to-face encounter between the government and the NGO community that I'm going to do something that in Yiddish we would call chutzpahdik, which is to say, would you be willing to meet with our NGO partners in Haiti if we were to take the time to arrange such a meeting?
Absolutely. Personally and with, absolutely.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
So, Mr. Prime Minister, first, I think at your request, we will declare success for the conversation. And thank you very much both for your openness and for your time, for the offers of engagement on a range of fronts. And you know as well as we do, this town has ADD, attention deficit disorder, but we don't. And we are going to stay the journey with you as we continue to maintain attention to our shared efforts over the coming while. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you
and
so much.
we wish you a safe travel back, and we'll be with you on the journey.
Please, and I wanted Hilda to present you something from Oxfam.
Yes.
And thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Oh, no, I was just going to tell you to mention that we got him again.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, Sophia, you're a Haitian. Of course. La Fontaine? No, of course, yeah. You would have to. And but I went to school with a La Fontaine.
Thank you very much.
Eh,
Thank you very much for your comments, and we will follow up with you on
And you
questions.
left a long time ago? It's good. I think you're doing great with Oxfam America. Well, we're counting on you to help us. I got this guy in my office. If you're ever down in Haiti, we'd love to see you. What time?
So today was
This was great. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the spirit that you brought to us.
Thank you. Well. Yeah, boy, I need to
Okay.
It's going to be very hard.